Watchers 3, Episode 8, A Glimmer of Hope. As the Rocker sisters prepared to embark on their mission to recover their confiscated equipment, the weight of their situation hung heavily in the air. Ashley's revelation about the location of their gear offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to level the playing field against the shadowy forces that held sway over the lunar base. Yet, they understood the risks involved. Timing was critical, and they hoped the immediate heat from their earlier actions had cooled, providing them with the cover they needed to move undetected. In the midst of strategizing, Nikki, still nursing her broken wrist, contemplated using the tincture that had miraculously healed Ashley. The pain was a constant reminder of their vulnerability, and the allure of a quick fix was tempting. Maybe just a few drops to fix this up, she mused, eyeing the vial of glowing substance with a mixture of hope and apprehension. However, Ashley's warning was swift and adamant. No, that's not normal stuff. I saw things, hon. I saw things that aren't there right before I passed out. Scary things, she said, her voice laced with genuine concern. The experience had left her wary of the tincture's potent and unpredictable effects. Brittany, ever the voice of reason, sided with Ashley. If Ashley thinks it's not the time, then it's not the time. It'll have to wait, Nikki. Nikki's frustration was unmistakable, her desire for relief clashing with the seriousness of their mission. Yet, Ashley's insistence on caution struck a chord. "Hun, I don't think you'll stay awake long, and we have things to do," Ashley explained, highlighting the importance of staying alert. Brittany reinforced the point. "You kinda need your wits about you." Nikki, known for her spirited demeanor and reliance on a buzz to smooth her rough edges, couldn't help but laugh. "You know I'm better with a buzz. I'm more mellow. Nobody wants me all, well, how do I say this? Sober," she quipped, a grin playing on her lips. The seriousness of her sister's stares, however, the evil eye, as Nikki would call it, brought the reality of their situation back into sharp focus. With a sigh, Nikki conceded, "Yeah, I'll just wait until I have my shield back. That makes sense. Then, if I pass out, I will be in a nice protective bubble." The mission to reclaim their confiscated gear led the Rocker sisters through the maintenance shafts of the lunar base, a route they hoped would bring them close to the location where Ashley had been briefly held. With every step, they moved with cautious precision, aware of the dangers lurking within the seemingly benign corridors. Brittany, leading the way, couldn't help but recount the harrowing tale of Nikki's near miss in these very tunnels, a reminder of the treacherous nature of their path. "Keep your eyes peeled," she warned, her voice a low whisper that barely disturbed the silence enveloping them. Nikki almost didn't make it out of here once, slipping off an edge into what seemed like an abyss. Ashley, absorbing the gravity of their previous encounters, nodded in acknowledgement. Her eyes, however, were drawn to the droid conduits lining the walls, a network that facilitated the unseen labor force keeping the base operational. Their advance was suddenly halted by the sound of approaching machinery. Instinctively, the sisters pressed themselves against the nearest junction box, their bodies tense as they awaited the unknown. Nikki, ever ready to confront their challenges head-on, whispered, "We're going to have to take that thing out." Ashley, however, offered a cautionary perspective as she peered around the corner. "We won't need to," she assured them, her voice tinged with a mix of awe and concern. "That's no maintenance droid. Look at its design. It's clearly meant for battle, not service." The droid, sleek and menacing, scanned the access tunnels with an efficiency that belied a purpose far removed from the routine upkeep of the base. Brittany says, "Yeah, that one is searching for something." Ashley noting, "Yep, that something is us." Brittany's frustration was perceptible as she realized the implications of Ashley's observation. "There goes our advantage," she muttered bitterly. "These maintenance shafts aren't safe anymore." Ashley corrected her, her focus still on the droid's movements. "It's not safe now," she emphasized, a subtle distinction that underscored the immediacy of their threat. As the droid moved closer, within mere feet of their hiding spot, scanning the junction box behind which they concealed themselves, tension mounted. A bead of sweat trailed down Nikki's forehead. a testament to the stress of their situation, the droid's intimidating presence filling the narrow space with an electric sense of danger. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the droid shifted direction, turning abruptly toward the droid tubes and speeding off as if propelled by a dire mission. Its scanners flicked in all directions, leaving the sisters in a momentary reprieve that did little to ease their anxiety. In the wake of the droid's departure, the Rocker sisters exchanged glances, a silent communication that spoke volumes. The encounter had been a stark reminder of the increased security measures within the base, a development that necessitated a recalibration of their approach. Guided by Ashley's memory of her brief captivity, the Rocker sisters moved with a silent determination towards the access panel that marked their initial escape route. Ashley's whispered directions led them down a dimly lit corridor, a path fraught with risk of discovery. "It's just down the hallway to the right, about 200 yards or so," she cautioned, her voice barely above a breath. "But be careful. It's only 50 yards from the main command room. Security is bound to be tighter here." The air was thick with tension, the distant sounds of the base's inhabitants, muffled conversations, the clank of metal, the occasional footfall, serving as a constant reminder of the danger they were courting. Yet, for the moment, fortune seemed to favor them. The activity was distant, not yet encroaching on their precarious position. As they approached the door to the cell holding their gear, Ashley halted them with a raised hand, her eyes scanning the security measures in place. "Locked," she murmured, the obstacle momentarily halting their progress. Brittany, ever the strategist, quickly assessed their options, her gaze landing on an access panel to the maintenance tunnel mere feet away, a potential escape route should their mission attract unwanted attention. Nikki, tasked with keeping watch, crept further down the hallway, her senses on high alert. A sudden shadow, a shift in the ambient noise, prompted her to signal a stop, her hand slicing through the air with urgency. They pressed themselves against the wall, their breaths held, hearts pounding against the silence. A moment stretched, filled with the intensity of their shared adrenaline and the fear of discovery. After an agonizing eternity that spanned mere seconds, Nikki gave the all clear, her wave a silent signal that the danger had passed, for now. Ashley, with a nod of acknowledgement, turned her attention back to the security panel, her fingers moving with practiced ease as she worked to bypass the lock. With a soft click, the door swung open, a silent invitation they hastened to accept. The sisters rushed into the room, the door closing quietly behind them, sealing them away from the dangers of the corridor. The relief of reaching their goal was tempered by the knowledge that their mission was far from over. As the trio entered, the overhead lights flickered on, illuminating the room and revealing a startling transformation. Brittany and Nikki couldn't help but stare at Ashley in complete astonishment. The effects of the mysterious tincture had not only healed her wounds, but had seemingly reversed the aging process, leaving her looking as vibrant and youthful as she had in her early 20s. "You look younger than I do, and more fit," Nikki remarked, her voice a mixture of amazement and envy. The sight was so unexpected it momentarily took their focus away from the mission at hand. Brittany, equally astounded, added her observations. "You look amazing, Ashley. It's like you've rolled back the years." The awe in her voice, a testament to the dramatic effect of the tincture. Ashley, feeling a surge of vitality she hadn't experienced in years, responded with a mix of pride and wonder. "I feel like I'm 20 again." The rejuvenation was more profound than she had dared to hope, offering not just a physical transformation but a restoration of energy and vigor. Their moment of marvel was quickly overshadowed by the task at hand. The room contained little more than a table and a single locked container crate mag-locked to its surface. Ashley's initial optimism faded as she realized the complication this presented. "Didn't notice it was mag-locked," she admitted, frustration creeping into her tone. Nikki, examining the locking mechanism, mused aloud. "Magnetically sealed?" Her statement underscored the challenge they faced. "This will make it more difficult to open, and I think it might be tied to the base's security system. Let me look closer." Brittany, not one to stand idly by, searched the remainder of the room for any overlooked clues or tools that might aid in their endeavor, yet her search yielded nothing but the cold, hard truth that their options were limited. Gathered in front of the mag-locked crate, a sense of urgency enveloped the sisters. Ashley, looking to her siblings for inspiration, voiced the dilemma that weighed heavily on their minds. "Well, do you all have any ideas? I'm all out at this point, unless setting off alarms is the plan." The moment was tense, the realization that tampering with the crate could trigger a base-wide alert hanging over them like a sword of Damocles. Yet, the necessity of reclaiming their gear, of arming themselves against the threats that lay in wait, lent a sharp edge to their resolve. The Rocker sisters huddled around the mag-locked crate, the weight of their predicament pressing down upon them. Brittany, ever the problem solver, proposed a daring solution to bypass the magnetic lock. Although Ashley was hesitant, fearing the potential consequences, the knowledge of a nearby exit route offered a sliver of reassurance. Together, they decided to proceed, driven by the necessity of reclaiming what was theirs. Brittany, recalling the unexpected success of their earlier escape from the cell, proposed a similar approach to bypass the maglock on the crate. "Remember how the light fixture short-circuited the cell's locking mechanism by accident?" she began, her voice tinged with hope. "What if we could replicate that here, intentionally, this time?" Despite Ashley's initial hesitation, the proximity of their escape route lent them a bit of courage to proceed with the risky endeavor. They dismantled a nearby light fixture, extracting the essential wiring and power source. Carefully, they rigged the components to create a makeshift device capable of generating a short circuit. With apprehension and anticipation mingling in the air, they connected their jury-rigged contraption to the mag lock. Holding their breath as they initiated the process, a tense moment passed, filled with the hum of electricity and the fear of failure, before the mechanism clicked and the crate's lid swung open, revealing their personal effects. The success of their improvised plan was a testament to their resourcefulness and the unexpected utility of the base's infrastructure turned against itself. As the lid of the crate swung open, the Rocker sisters peered inside with bated breath, their hearts racing in anticipation of reclaiming their confiscated gear. However, what they found was not the arsenal of Imperial weapons they had hoped for. The Rocker sisters found an assortment of personal belongings. Among these were Brittany's handbag, Ashley's purse, and Nikki's duffel bag, which Ashley teasingly likened to a roaming gypsy's suitcase, always slung over Nikki's shoulder, packed as if she were perpetually ready to traverse continents. Their watches, critical for communication and coordination, lay beside an array of jewelry that, while beautiful, seemed almost mocking in its uselessness there. Adding to the irony were their cell phones, dead and devoid of any charging means, silent testimonies to their disconnected plight. The joke about Nikki's oversized bag elicited a brief moment of laughter among them, a necessary lightness in the dense atmosphere of their mission. Despite the lack of weaponry, the sight of their personal effects, so mundane yet so dearly missed, offered a poignant reminder of the world they were fighting to return to. Brittany said, "The watches? Hand me mine," Ashley replied. "They're as dead as the cell phones. At least we can charge the watches on freedom." As the Rocker sisters retraced their steps through the service tunnels, the journey back to their hideout was tinged with an uneasy familiarity. Passing the very spot where Nikki had nearly met a dire fate, she pointed it out to Ashley with a half-hearted chuckle. "Watch your step here. It's a long fall," she quipped, the levity in her voice belying the gravity of the danger that had lurked there. Ashley peered cautiously into the abyss, the reality of Nikki's harrowing experience sinking in. The sisters shared a brief, nervous laugh, a momentary reprieve from the tension that enveloped their journey. This shared humor, dark though it may have been, served as a reminder of their resilience and the unbreakable bond that had seen them through their darkest moments. As they arrived at their hideout, the familiarity of the path did little to ease the apprehension of what awaited them, a testament to the ever-present dangers that lurked within the lunar base's hidden corridors. With their personal effects in tow, the the Rocker sisters made their way back to the safety of their hideout. The journey back was tense, each shadow and noise magnifying their anxiety. They moved with a blend of caution and speed, acutely aware of the base's omnipresent danger, yet driven by the need to reassess their situation and formulate a new plan of action in the relative safety of their chosen sanctuary. Upon arriving at their hideout, however, they were met with a sight that sent a surge of adrenaline coursing through them. The battle droid they had narrowly avoided earlier was there, rummaging through their makeshift haven with cold efficiency. Its presence was a stark violation of the one place they had considered secure, a dog-like droid, a mechanical bloodhound they can't seem to shake. Frozen at the threshold, they watched in silence as the droid, oblivious to their arrival, continued its search. Its mechanical arms sifted through their belongings with unsettling precision, casting aside the remnants of their attempts to create a semblance of home in the desolate lunar base. The sight of Brittany's makeshift dagger in its grasp was particularly jarring. With an almost ceremonial care, the droid placed the dagger into a compartment on its back, a clear indication of its mission to disarm and dismantle any potential threats. The droid then paused, its sensors scanning the room, a silent sentinel on the lookout for any signs of the fugitives it was programmed to capture. The Rocker sisters stood motionless, barely daring to breathe, each keenly aware of the precariousness of their situation. The tension in the air was electric as Brittany signaled her sisters to back away slowly, with a wave of a hand indicating the direction from which they had come. With cautious steps, they began retracing their path, each movement deliberate, a silent prayer to pass unnoticed. However, the quiet was shattered by an inadvertent misstep from Ashley, who stepped on a piece of debris that the droid had carelessly tossed aside during its search. The sound it made was sharp and grating, akin to nails dragged across a chalkboard, a chilling noise that echoed ominously through the tunnels. In that heart-stopping moment, they all knew their presence had been betrayed. The battle droid, previously engaged in its methodical ransacking of their hideout, paused and turned its menacing frame towards the entrance. It stopped dead in its tracks about 30 yards from the sisters, initiating a tense standoff. The droid's sensors locked onto them, its electronic eyes scanning as it emitted a series of beeps and chirps that were alien yet unmistakably aggressive. Without warning, the droid charged, an electrode extending from its back, sparking with lethal electricity. Panic surged through the sisters as they turned to flee, their brief hope of stealthy withdrawal evaporating in the face of this unexpected assault. Brittany, ever the protector, positioned herself at the rear, ensuring her sisters were ahead of her, a human shield against the oncoming threat. With the battle droid mere moments behind them, the Rocker sisters raced through the service tunnels, their footsteps echoing in the dark. Brittany, her voice firm and commanding, cut through the din of their flight. "Hard left! Watch the junction box!" she warned, her tone laced with urgency as they navigated the twists and turns of the lunar base's underbelly. Amid the chaos, a peculiar dynamic unfolded between Ashley and Nikki. Despite the dire circumstances, Ashley displayed a startling agility and speed, darting ahead with ease, only to deliberately fall back behind Nikki time and again. This unexpected show of athleticism bewildered Nikki, who had always prided herself on being the most graceful and capable among them, her high school accolades a testament to her potential. The side of Ashley, who seemed rejuvenated, playfully outpacing her, was astonishing because of its unsettling ease. The implications of the tincture's effects on Ashley were undeniable, transforming her not just physically, but enhancing her abilities to an extent that defied understanding. This revelation, amid their flight from danger, added layers of complexity to their already fraught situation, leaving Nikki grappling with a mix of admiration and a dawning realization of the tincture's transformative power. The tension mounted as they approached a particularly perilous stretch of the tunnel. Brittany's voice rose above the chaos, a beacon of guidance in the pitch-black void. "Hug the wall! Hug the wall on your left as you run! It's the abyss!" she screamed, her warning tinged with the fear of the known danger that lay just a misstep away. The abyss, a void where the ground fell away into darkness, its depths unseen and unfathomable, loomed as a silent threat, a deadly drop that could end their flight in an instant. Her sister's trust in Brittany's leadership implicit followed her instructions to the letter, their bodies pressed against the tunnel wall as they skirted the edge of the precipice. The sound of the droid's relentless pursuit, its mechanical footsteps mingling with the crackle of electricity from its weapon. Brittany repeated her warning, her voice gaining intensity as the danger of the abyss neared. "Careful," she implored, the word a sharp command that carried the weight of their collective lives. The urgency of the situation was, dare I say, electric, each sister keenly aware that a single misstep could lead to disaster. In a heart-stopping moment that seemed to freeze time itself, the chase reached its terrifying climax. The droid's electrode arm, crackling with energy like a Tesla coil on steroids, suddenly extended, its deadly arc targeting Brittany with unerring precision. The shock hit her squarely in the back of the leg, the intense voltage overwhelming her in an instant. Brittany's fall was swift and graceless, a stark contrast to the controlled urgency of their escape moments before, her collapse reminiscent of Humpty Dumpty's great fall, but with stakes far more dire than any nursery rhyme could convey. The battle droid, relentless in its pursuit and unprepared for Brittany's sudden descent, stumbled over her prone form, its mechanical legs tangled with hers, the electricity coursing through her body in a grotesque dance of technology and human fragility. In a chaotic flurry of motion, the battle droid twisted and turned in the air, its momentum carrying it over the edge of the abyss, the very precipice Brittany had warned her sisters about with such intensity. In a cruel twist of fate, the droid's mechanical leg, still ensnared with Brittany's, dragged her toward the yawning chasm. The sight was surreal, a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Ashley and Nikki, halted in their tracks by the spectacle, could only watch in horror as their sister was pulled inexorably toward the edge. The droid's unintended self-destruction had become Brittany's potential demise, a tragic turn that left her fate hanging by a thread, or more accurately, by the grip of a mechanical leg. As the battle droid, relentless in its pursuit, dragged Brittany's limp body towards the precipice, the aftermath of the electric shock still evident in the smoke rising from her scorched clothing, a flicker of life reignited within her. In a display of sheer willpower, she stirred from her incapacitated state, her hands desperately clawing at the rocky ground beneath her. Each grasp at the rough terrain was fueled by an indomitable desire to survive, her fingers finding temporary salvation as they clung to the edge of the abyss. Brittany, now dangling for her life, her situation grew more perilous as the droid's mechanical weight, pulling on her, caused one arm to slip off the cliff's edge, leaving her suspended by merely the fingertips of her remaining hand. In this moment, teetering between life and death, the droid prepared to deliver a final, devastating shock. Its electrode arm, crackling with lethal energy, extended towards her, a manifestation of its programming to neutralize the target at any cost. The tension was jolting, a silent standoff between human resilience and unyielding machine logic. Brittany, with every fiber of her being focused on survival, faced the cold, impersonal intent of the droid, its mission clear and its methods devoid of mercy. This was the moment the battle droid was designed for, to ensure the completion of its task, regardless of the consequences. Her sisters, witnessing the perilous situation unfold before their very eyes, sprang into action with a speed and coordination born of desperation. Nikki, despite her own injuries, was the first to slide into position, her knee hitting the ground hard as she reached out with her one good arm to grasp Brittany's wrist, the very hand that had just lost its grip on the cliff face. Ashley, fueled by adrenaline, quickly followed suit, positioning herself to grab Brittany's other hand. "We got you," she assured, her voice tense with determination. "On my mark, Yank!" Ashley cried out, her command piercing the tense air with a blood-curdling intensity. Yet to Nikki's surprise, her contribution was minimal in the effort to rescue Brittany. With a powerful and decisive pull, Ashley yanked Brittany clear up and over, slamming her against the wall behind them with such force that it knocked Brittany unconscious. Nikki, caught in the momentum, found herself colliding with the wall as well, a testament to Ashley's unexpected strength and the frantic energy that fueled their rescue. The droid, its design ill-suited for the dynamic struggle of human desperation, lost its grip on Brittany due to Ashley's forceful intervention. Its mechanical foot, never intended for such a tug-of-war, failed it at the crucial moment, sending the droid tumbling into the abyss. However, in its final act before descending into its demise, the droid unleashed a burst from its electrode, electrifying the chamber with a shocking farewell. This last act of defiance by the droid sent sparks flying, illuminating the darkened space with a brief, eerie light as it made its unwilling descent. It was a moment of intense relief, mixed with the immediate aftermath of the chaotic rescue. The sisters, momentarily safe from the physical threat of the droid, now had to contend with the consequences of their daring save. Brittany unconscious from the impact, and the lingering danger of the electrified environment they found themselves in. Their escape from one danger had thrust them directly into the aftermath of another, a stark reminder of the relentless challenges they faced within the confines of the lunar base. Ashley quickly turned her attention to Nikki, concern etched on her face. "You okay, love?" she asked, watching as Nikki, sitting up, shook her head as if to clear it. "Yeah, I figured you were doing a 3 count, not just on my mark, Yank," Nikki retorted with a hint of sarcasm, still reeling from the suddenness of Ashley's actions. Ashley, apologetic, responded, "Sorry, I don't know what got into me. Must have been the adrenaline." Her eyes conveyed her genuine concern, the intensity of the moment still fresh in their minds. "I think it was a bit more than adrenaline, Einstein," Nikki quipped, her comment cutting through the tension with a mix of humor and disbelief at the display of raw power Ashley had shown. Their attention quickly shifted to Brittany, who lay unconscious from the ordeal. Attempts to rouse her were met with silence, a worrying sign given her usual role as the group's medical expert. "We can't stay here," Ashley asserted, her voice firm despite the worry clouding her judgment. "I'm sure it broadcasted our location. We'll have more of those to deal with soon, and in these tight quarters, we stand little chance." Nikki, ever pragmatic, suggested, "Let's make our way to the ship, to freedom." Her words carried a weight of resolve. Ashley, a smile briefly crossing her lips despite the gravity of their circumstances, admitted, "Okay, the ship's name is starting to grow on me, I have to admit, but we need to move quickly. Help me with Brit. We'll carry her." Nikki, managing a weak smile, teased, "You carry her and I'll lean on you and pretend to help." "Come on, we need to move," Ashley urged, her tone brooking no argument. Nikki, chuckling, acquiesced. Okay. Carrying Brittany between them, they set off towards freedom, their ship and their only hope for escape. After covering a short distance, Ashley, sensing the strain of their coordinated effort, spoke up. "It's fine. I got her. You helping is actually slowing us down, no disrespect." With those words, Nikki reluctantly let go, watching in astonishment as Ashley, with surprising ease, hoisted Brittany over her shoulder and continued forward, her pace noticeably quicker. "Hey, slow down, I'm not at 100% here," Nikki called out, struggling to keep up with Ashley's accelerated stride. Their hastened escape was abruptly interrupted by the sound of loud, clanging noises echoing down the shaft, metallic feet beating against the metal floor, a hauntingly familiar sound that sent shivers down their spines. "Quick, there's an access panel to the main base. Let me check if the coast is clear," Nikki whispered, her voice tinged with the anxiety of their imminent threat. Peering through the panel, Nikki confirmed the path was clear, urging, "It's clear. Move into the corridors of the base station. We're close to the hangar bay, just another 100 yards or so. Stick to the wall. Try to be as small and fast as we can." Ashley nodded. adjusting her grip on Brittany as they stealthily navigated the remaining distance to the hangar. Upon reaching the hangar, they darted behind what appeared to be a small scout ship seeking cover from prying eyes. To their dismay, they spotted a battle droid stationed ominously outside Freedom, its presence a stark reminder of the dangers that still loomed between them and their escape. "We're safe here for now. There's no angle of view from the droid. Good spot to think," Ashley assessed, her voice low but steady. Nikki peering cautiously around their makeshift cover. So close, yet so far. Freedom, their ship, lay merely 50 yards away, yet the presence of the battle droid posed a significant obstacle, turning the short distance into what seemed an insurmountable challenge. As they huddled behind their makeshift cover, a glimmer of hope sparked amidst the tension as Brittany began to stir. Her movements were slow, each one deliberate, culminating in a sharp intake of breath as her eyes fluttered open to the dim light of the hangar. Nikki, ever vigilant, was quick to place a comforting hand on her, whispering urgently, "Shh, honey bun, danger is close." The disbelief that initially clouded Brittany's gaze swiftly transformed into a look of understanding, the gravity of their situation sinking in as she nodded silently, acknowledging the need for quiet. In hushed tones, they filled Brittany in on the events that had unfolded, how her sisters had carried her to their current hideout, and the peril that now loomed just yards away. Brittany, despite the pain that flickered across her features, peered cautiously around their cover to assess the situation for herself. "Yeah, we need a plan. In our condition, we can't take that," she agreed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Nikki, we can't, but Ashley might be able to," she joked, a wry smile touching her lips. The comment drew a confused look from Brittany, who was still piecing together the changes that had occurred in her absence. Ashley, feeling the weight of her sister's gaze, explained, "It seems like I'm about 3 times stronger, 3 times what I used to be in every category. It's invigorating and scary at the same time, but still, there's no way I can take on that thing solo." "Yeah, I know it was a joke," Nikki replied, her tone sobering as the reality of their predicament settled back over them. With their options limited, Brittany brainstormed a solution. "I have a little scrap left. Let me look. Yeah, this has enough weight and is metal," she said, holding up a small metal cap piece from the replicator they had dismantled earlier. "We use it. Ashley, you throw it in the opposite direction, just over Freedom, on the other side." Ashley, skeptical of the distance, remarked, "That's roughly 50 yards, sis." Nikki replies, "Professional players can make that throw in football." Ashley laughed. "I'm no professional athlete, love, even with the enhancements." Brittany outlined the plan. If the droid reacts and moves to the location of the sound, we charge the ship, lock ourselves in, start it up, and try to leave. If the droid doesn't move enough, we hold position. Taking a deep breath, Ashley prepared for the decisive moment. With precision and the boosted strength coursing through her, she quickly tossed the metal cap in a high arc, aiming to land it just beyond Freedom, hoping to draw the droid away. The droid reacted swiftly and with purpose, moving away from the entrance of Freedom, its programming fixated on investigating the source of the disturbance. "Now go for it," Brittany urged, her voice laced with adrenaline. Nikki didn't hesitate, breaking into a dead sprint towards the ship, her focus singular. Ashley, supporting Brittany, managed to make good time despite the encumbrance, a testament to her newfound strength. As they reached the ship, Nikki triggered the switch to open the hatch. "Hurry!" Ashley implored, dropping to one knee looking under Freedom to keep an eye on the battle droid. It was still frantically searching for the source of the noise, its movements erratic in the confusion. Gathering in front of the hatch, their escape seemingly within grasp, it slid open. To their horror, standing in the threshold was the shadowy figure, the architect of their ordeal. His laugh, sinister and mocking, filled the air. "Don't be disappointed, girls. It's not your fault. You had no other card to play at this point. This was your only move left." His words, dripping with malevolence, chilled them to the bone. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed what appeared to be a hand grenade at the sisters' feet and closed the hatch. The laughter that followed was the stuff of nightmares, a sound that echoed in their minds, even as panic set in. The air around them quickly filled with a smoky substance, the smell unmistakably familiar. It was the gas. As they choked and coughed, their attempts to flee were futile. One by one, they fell, succumbing to the potent effects of the gas. This chapter ends with the sisters' vision fading to black, the last sight that imprinted on their consciousness being the underside of freedom, their ship, and their hope, now unreachable. The cruel irony of their situation, a bitter pill to swallow. As they drifted into unconsciousness, the shadowy figure's laughter was the last sound that accompanied them into the dark embrace of the gas-induced slumber. B.N.Rocker.